Good morning. This is Tom Alexander. It is Sunday, September 5th, and I want to go through an explanation, a more detailed explanation of what we have in the report this weekend. So let's look at this chart. And this is a monthly chart of the S&P cash. And I have highlighted some substantial rallies that have occurred over the past 18 years. This is back in 2002. I'm using this to sort of compare it to the present rally that began at the end of March 20th, 2020. And since that time, we've been up, we're up almost 108%. So you can see that in terms of velocity, this is one of the moves with the greatest magnitude that I have seen since I have been trading, which is, I'm now my 37th year of trading. And the auction market takeaway from this is that we may go a whole lot higher, but it's really, really unlikely that we're going to continue higher at this rate of change. And what we should begin to see is a more two-sided trade in this time frame. Now, this is a monthly chart. So what does that mean? We're going to see, we should see a more two-sided trade. Well, what it means is that if you compare this advance to, say, this extraordinary ramp that began in October of 2011 and carried into the high 4 years later, and we're like 18, 19 months. This took 4 years. But if you look at this, you have balance and overlap for months at a time in here. Same thing over here. You have balance and overlap, balance and overlap. While the market, and nobody would argue this wasn't a relentless trend to the upside. This is rewritten relentless. And again, it's just very, very unlikely, extremely unlikely that the rate of change of this advance off the lows from March of 2020, continue with this rate of change. That's an auction market concept. This is imbalance. Imbalance represents an inefficient market. Markets are drawn to efficiency because of trade facilitation, and I don't want to get too deep in the weeds, but there is a basis for expecting two-sided trade here that's not just Tom's wild-ass guess. There's an auction market reason to be looking for more two-sided trade. Now, we're in a bull market. The bull market, the market is making higher highs and higher lows relentlessly in all time frames. So as an investor, if I'm looking at this, I'm getting leery about how stretched we are at the upside. But as a trader, the trend is up. And unless I have something objective that suggests it's not, I have to accept and adjust my trade strategy to the fact that the path of least resistance is higher. Now, we can go down in time frame, which we'll do here. Let me take a look. And let's see here. Let me find that chart. Okay, so this is another chart that is in the report. And the bottom line basically is you want to be favoring longs above these levels. I'm going to take this out. And I put in the report, if the levels in that report are breached to the downside, it's immediately short-term bearish. And to one degree or another, if that occurs, I'm going to be short, at least on a probing situation, until the idea that that's just a false move to the downside, because we're so extended to the upside in the longer term. I'm alert for any change in trend on the shorter term charts, because That's the initial signal. There could be something developing of a longer duration than any that we've seen, certainly for months, if not the last 18 months. But right now, the reality of this is that the present market condition, we're in balance. We have a multi-day balance area, clear multi-day balance area that's formed in the ES. We have a clear multi-day balance area that's formed in the NQ. We have a Russell that is flirting back and forth with bullish and bearish, but it's not going to completely uncouple from a sharp move, a strong move with conviction in the other three indices. And the YM/Dow is also in a balance area, an extremely mature balance area. So when you have balance areas, that gives us well-defined parameters for being long or being short. You don't want to fight a breakout to the upside of these balance areas. And if we break to the downside, could be a signal that we're developing something of larger degree than any that we've seen, certainly since this low that occurred on the 19th. So we'll see. Now let me run through a couple scenarios showing the profile view. This is the Russell. I'll start with the Russell. This is the last one in the report, but I think it's really important. And you can see the September auction has just begun. It's very narrow range. This level, this is a high volume node of a multi-month, almost most of this year balance area. So the Russell is going to trade to or through this area, or it's going to trade to or through this area, and it's between the two. Again, I don't think it will. I think if it trades into this area, you're going to see all four of the, matter of fact, I think it's extremely probable that if it trades up here, it's bullish for the other indices as well. They'll participate to one degree. Maybe the Russell outperforms, but the others will follow. Likewise, if the Russell dumps down into this high volume node and starts flirting with the lower extreme of this high volume node, I think you'll see the other three indices also decline. Okay, let's take a look. Let's see, which one do I start with up here? The SPX. I'm going to split this out like I did in the report so you can see and I can explain my thought process. So what we have here, let me grab this. What we have off of this level here. Now this is all one auction. This is a new distribution. It's an auction range. Now we have some balance. And this is that balance area that you see on the charts. Now, below here, where you're in an elevator shaft and we could probe this range, we could trade through it very sharply. Above here, then maybe we go up for a few days and we do this again. So this balance area that I have highlighted, I just highlighted for you on the bar charts. This is what it looks like on the profile charts. Now let's take a look at the NDX. And it's pretty much the same story. And we have a little balance area that's formed. If we get into this elevator shaft, we could retrace very sharply lower. If we get above this, then we could trade higher for a few days and form another balance area. And it's going to be the exact same situation in the Dow. And let's split this out. I'm just going to split out. I'm going to split out the entire August auction because this is where we are. This is the balance area that's formed. And the break of this is going to be important. So we have some really good levels to keep an eye on next week in terms of price action and what the auction might do. Now, let's take a look at breadth and see where it might fit in with all of this. And to me, this is also giving good information, and because of the fact that we expanded so strongly in the 10-day moving average of NYSE advancing issues and 5-day moving average of advancing issues, we have the 10-day as extreme as it has been for months. Typically, what that means is that any low in here that occurs, if we do get some sort of 2%, 2.5%, 3% sell-off, it makes it more likely, because of where the 5-day and the 10-day moving averages are, that's not some larger degree top. Now, that's according to this, and we're going to follow price action. Price action is what you have to follow. It's what you trade. It's what makes us money or loses money. It is the ultimate truth. It is the ultimate reality check. Now, that said, this is pretty much playing out per the form sheet following this big expansion in breadth. And this also would fit with the idea that any short-term top in here is just that. It's a short-term top, because you can see the typical pattern, and I have highlighted some here, is to get a big expansion in breadth and then trade for days or even a couple of weeks or more. And you have higher prices on lower breadth expansion to the upside on a day-to-day basis. So guys, I hope you find this helpful. If you do, please like the video. And if you would subscribe to the channel, you'll be alerted when I do post updates. And I will talk to you at a minimum next weekend. Have a great week.